wanted to get our first guest on today in the second hour. He's been in a lot of lockers, been in the league for a long time. He's got so many accolades and awards, it would take me 2 hours to read them all. Yeah. Well, it's unbelievable.
You got to the main ones. He won 2 Super Bowls.
He won 2 Super Bowls. He's a 2-time Pro Bowl selection. Let's go to the Barb's Harley-Davidson Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room former Eagle punter, Sean Landeta. Good morning, Sean.
Hey, guys. How are you?
All right, man. We're still licking our wounds from the Dallas debacle on Monday night.
Well, listen, fans don't want to hear it, but sometimes you play against a team that day, they're just better than you. And that game on Monday night, Dallas just played a better game. They were a better team. So hopefully the Eagles regroup this week, because they got to come back and face another very tough team in the Kansas City Chiefs.
Absolutely. And, of course, I wanted to get you on because you do a lot of radio and TV in the Philadelphia and New York market, so you keep close to the game. But, Sean, the reason why I wanted to get you on, because you've been around the 22-year career. You've been around a lot of locker rooms, 5 different teams. This coaching staff, what do you make of the Eagles coaching staff? You've been coached by some great coaches, but I want your insight. What do you see from this young coaching staff of the Eagles?
Well, I think it's a little early to make a definite, thought on if they're good, how they're going to be. I had a chance to visit with Nick Sirianni in the preseason, and I was very impressed. He has a great attitude. He's very cerebral. He has a great desire to succeed. And, I feel he will be a football coach now, a good football coach. And the main reason any guy's a good football coach is if their players play well. I mean, I know as a coach you got to do your part, but the players got to perform. And week 1, they were outstanding against Atlanta. Week 2, they let one get away against the 49ers. And, again, last Monday night they were just overmatched. But it's still a little bit early, but it'll be interesting to see how they play tomorrow at home against Kansas City. I think it's a little early to make a decision on whether he's a good coach. But I do know he has great passion, a lot of fire, and the guy really wants to succeed.
We're talking with Sean Landeta, 3-time All-Pro punter, former Eagles punter, of course, a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Sean, how long of a honeymoon does a coach get, especially a young coach? It's like, I don't want to say he's rah-rah, but he's come in with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of passion. How long will that resonate with the guys before, especially if they don't win? How long will that run?
Well, a lot of that has to do with, his persona and how he is every day in that locker room, because as a player, you're watching your head coach all the time. And, if he does everything right, you see him, trying his best to put you in a position to succeed, and you see him work hard and do his part, players are going to rally around him. When you sign a new head coach, you always think maybe he's got a year or 2 to get it turned around, and that's not always the case. In this day and age especially, if things don't go well in year 1, owners are not afraid to make a change. Now, I hope that's not the case here. And remember, Nick took over a team that was 4-11-1. He took over a poor NFL team. So hopefully he'll be able to develop Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Let's see. The jury's still out on him. And really it comes down to we'll see. I mean, we can talk about it all day. Let's see how these guys perform.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, speaking of honeymoons, we do our research. I met you at the Phillies game with Brian Propp and Bill Berge when you guys took the bases off a couple years ago. But you married your wife was from Pennsylvania. You got married, and now you have at your wedding you have friends from the New York area who are Giants fans, and you had friends from Philly fans, and you had to put them at tables together. That's what I heard the story was. Is that a true story?
Well, it was similar. I very subtly made sure the tables had a little room in between them because, unfortunately, the Eagles and Giants are huge competitors. I always say I'm the only guy on the planet that loves both of those teams because they despise each other because of their history. But I made sure I had room in between them because I didn't want it to get a little contentious in there, especially at a wedding when people are happy and having a few drinks. So fortunately, we got out of there unscathed.
That's good. Now, Billy and I have been called old school here a lot. The three of us are close in age.
Right.
How much has the game changed since you started? You started playing them almost like 36 years ago in the 80s. How much has the game changed from then to today?
That's an interesting question. I get asked a lot, and it on one hand it's changed a lot. On the other hand, it hasn't. Let me explain. Obviously the rules are the biggest change. Okay, the game is not near as rough and vicious as it used to be, all in the name of player safety. The conditions at the stadium are much greater. The facilities are better. The fields are better. The equipment's better. The way you watch the games are better on TV. Travel is better. Doctor care is better. In so many ways, it's changed like that. But on the other hand, where it has not changed is I still see the passion today in these young players. They have great passion. They want to win. They're tough. I know in this generation, there's a lot of things we think that they're different from 30, 40 years ago. And while that's true on one hand, on the other hand, I think these guys are terrific players. All of us that grew up watching football in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, 90s, that's what we're used to, and we'd probably like to see the game played the way it was then, but it is different now, and for the most part, I still think it's a good game.
We're talking with Sean Landeta, a two-time Super Bowl champion, former Eagle punter. Sean, the guys seem like we're dealing with a rash of injuries. These guys are bigger, stronger, faster. I get it, but what do you think the reason is for all these injuries?
I'm not sure. I haven't done it, but I've told myself at some point to take the time and go back and do the research, because as far as I can remember, there's always been injuries. And every year it does seem like there's more that particular year than in the past. I don't really know if that's the case. And, somebody probably has done that research. It'd really be great to see, in fact, if there is a difference. But one thing I've been told by the players today is the fact that training camp is not near as active as it used to be. They don't have two-a-days. There's not near as much hitting. A lot of the guys today want to do that because sometimes they feel that they go into week one at 100 miles an hour without hitting the 5-6 weeks in training camp. And again, that's all based on player safety, but maybe you can make a case that in your attempt to make the game safer for the players, not letting them hit as much in training camp, maybe that in itself could be a reason why guys are getting hurt.
Yeah, I've been chastised. I've been chastised for saying that they're not as tough not as tough, but because of the lack of hitting in the preseason. Like, I'm old school. I think they should take more of a tougher practice and get the injuries out of the way.
Well, listen, I promise you, because I've talked to these guys, most of these guys, almost every one of them, want to hit more in training camp. They're football players. It's what they've done their whole life. But they're not allowed to. They're being withheld because of, purposes of safety and not being injured. So, believe me, these guys want to hit. They're just being held back.
Now, Sean, you won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants, obviously, and you played a good portion of your career there, and then you played a good portion of your career in Philly. Where was it tougher to play in?
I don't know where you'd say it was tougher. I'll say this. Philadelphia's fans are as passionate and care as much as any in the league. I don't know if someone else does as much, but it's not possible for fans to care more than they do here. And maybe sometimes they care too much because, we know how they can be when things don't go well, but it's all in the name of them wanting you to do so well. The media in New York, there's a lot more of it there, so maybe there's more scrutiny there. But I think a lot of it comes down to really, how is that team playing when you're there in that city, right? I was fortunate to be there when we were in the playoffs almost every year. We won twice. We had a terrific group. So obviously things are going to be pretty good there. And, when I came to Philly, I came with Andy from Green Bay, and we got it turned around pretty quick. So I was a little lucky to be in both places when we were playing well. So the media was a little more kind and the fans were happier. I mean, the Giants, they've had 7 of the last 8 seasons losing seasons, and it's tough up there. The fans and the media are fed up. It's kind of like in the 70s how it was there. I know the 70s were tough here. So a lot of it comes down to how is that team playing. But both of those cities, I mean, we're only 100 miles apart, right? It's very close, and the mindset is very similar.
I know obviously winning cures it all. Hey, Sean, we have Sean Landeta on the hook here. Sean, when I pull up your information, I go over some stuff. When I see the images, I love you had that one bar on your helmet, just that one little bar. Did you ever take shots to the face?
I did. Looking back, I was asked one time, why do you wear the single bar? And I never thought about it, but the reason I did is when I came out in the early 80s, that's just what all the punters and kickers and the pros were doing. So me as a rookie, I wanted to do what they did. So I wore the face mask they did. Now, it does help you see a lot better, but it really wasn't smart. I mean, I got lucky two or three times. There was a few elbows and forearms that came through there. One time it actually cracked my face mask because the single bar was made out of hard plastic. It wasn't made out of metal like the other ones. And I really could have had a serious injury, but they don't allow it anymore. I might have been the last guy to wear the single bar. I'm not sure, but I just did it because all the other guys did it. But I'm lucky because I took a few shots, but it could have been much worse.
Yeah, well, looking at your pictures, you came out unscathed. You're looking pretty good. Hey, Sean, listen, man, real quick, I don't know if you can give us a prediction, or what do you think about the Eagles Chiefs for Sunday?
Well, I think they're going to bounce back and play much better than we saw them in Dallas last Monday night. It's going to be tough because they're playing one of the best teams in the NFL, and I don't think the Chiefs have been 1-2 under Andy in all these years. So they're going to be ready. I want the Eagles to win. I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll play a pretty good game. Let's see what happens.
That's keeping it honest. All right, Sean Landeta, thank you so much. We really appreciate your commentary and your opinions, and we'll do it again.
Hope so. Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
All right,
Sean.
there he is, Sean Landeta on the Barb's Harley-Davidson Sports Hotline.